Yeah, what I want to talk to you guys about is how can Africa prosper? How can it become a prosperous place? Now, the first thing I want to tell you, if you want to make it prosper in a place like Africa, like some people say, we're going to have to rely on the government for jobs. We're going to have to put more pressure on the ANC. It's not going to happen, man. Because you have to realize here in North America, there's a lot of issues that we've had for the longest time, such as how can we make education better for people? How can we do this and all that sort of stuff? Not much has changed. So, uh, you know, for the African Americans and for certain minority communities, not much has changed. Not really. So honestly, for a country like Africa, and it's a third world country, and at the most it's second world, as in South Africa. Honestly, if you're not gonna succeed, if we can't pull it off, I don't think you guys can pull it off. It's not supposed to sound arrogant. It's just simply saying the truth. And the best way for you guys to become successful is to honestly just rely on yourself, okay? Uh Honestly, I know people might say, I could get a job, but it's going to be a lot of work, and just in general, living in Africa, it's so much work, but you're going to have to think smart, okay? When you think smart, you think, how is the easiest way I can possibly get stuff done possible, okay? And being street smart also means, how can I observe my environment as much as possible without getting into trouble, without dealing with the wild animals? Because Africa has some really bad animals. Oh my gosh, man. Honestly, the continent with the most dangerous animals in the face of the earth, and maybe ever in the history of the earth, seriously, well, the dinosaurs, but at least in current times, the most dangerous. So, honestly, if you're dealing with the animals and the environment, if you're walking from school, you're dealing with the people, you just simply observe everything around you. If you wanna learn how to observe people and the animals and all that sort of stuff to make sure you don't get into trouble, simply use this strategy. Think, whenever you start daydreaming, the best thing for you to do is to simply remember, what is my goal? What am I supposed to do today? Okay? And at the same time, observe your environment around you. Okay? Maybe you're having a good day or something, and you might, and being in a good mood, maybe you go to this one place one day and you say, this street is, let's just say, Rodney Street. You just, over time, through your experiences, pay attention to the environment around you. And it starts off with simply goals, okay? Each time you have a goal, before you reach your biggest goal, you first think about all of the other goals, and you think of, how can I get to this place? And when you get to that place, you focus on your goal. Like, if I want to get to this street, and I want to get to this street, or this place and this place, you focus on your objective or something, and you're more likely to be able to remember it. As long as it's safe, you're not taking any risks, I see no problem with it. And when it comes to getting a job, when you get a job, or an education as well, you definitely will need an education. Think when you're getting a job, okay? How can I stick out of the rest of the crowd? Is this a good job environment? Is this a job environment, like, even for a job, they have different companies you can work for and stuff. Are the people in this place actually reliable? Are will most of the people who actually show up today actually come back, because I kind of notice there's something a bit off about them, maybe maybe in general, just from what they're talking about, maybe about crime and all that sort of stuff, you can kind of tell me, they're not really going to come back. You know, maybe you could pay attention and see, is the boss you're working for actually a good one? Does he seem like he himself knows what he's doing? And just in general, if you're dealing with a competitive environment, how can I try to stick out of everybody else around you? That's something you're going to have to figure out. And for education, if I want to stay out of trouble, because honestly, if you think in this world, that's the best possible way. Maybe I should avoid this class. I heard this class has a lot of people, the equivalent, I guess you could say, of maybe like the hoodie in North America. In Africa, it might be that red hat, they wear on their head. It's a sort of hat they wear, they wear on their head. And just in general, dealing with shady classes, and maybe one class might have a bad teacher. And once you get your education, you also focus on, if they're not giving you much information, it's still no excuse, man. You could read the newspaper, and through learning how to read, one thing you're going to have to do is, how to write, if you want to learn something, is that you're going to have to, simply put it, that's how I learned in this part of the world, just simply trace words over and over again. If you can find a newspaper, just simply trace them, and over time you'll actually start writing better over time. Just trace maybe words in a newspaper, especially the big words, and over time you should become better. I didn't use newspaper over here, but it's just an idea for them, and when I just try to think outside the box, and just focus on, when you get the work, if you can buy books or something on education, just focus on doing it most effectively. Maybe you could even watch my other videos on that topic. And lastly, when it comes on a national level, if you want to improve your country, the first thing I think you're going to have to do is you're going to have to learn knowledge of your ancestors. Because the Atlantic slave trade, because of the fact that a lot of the people they wanted were physically fit, and of course for the fact that probably the most vulnerable people tended to be people who are farmers who didn't even know how to defend themselves. Probably, all the warriors, they're probably ones that the slave owners were saying, I'm not gonna fuck with that guy, So honestly, most of the people who probably got kidnapped anyway were probably just simply farmers and all of that sort of stuff, and it would make sense because they'd probably want someone who has basic understanding of agriculture to help cut sugar canes and all that sort of stuff in the New World, where they took them to. So that's the thing about it, is that they took a lot of the people, and maybe you can learn knowledge from the ancestors, or just read booklets on it, how they grew food, how they dealt with diseases, and through that process, you can also take a course on on the natural habitat of Africa and studying it. You can maybe even look outside and watch and see how things operate. And through gathering knowledge on nature, you might learn some things on botany, on food production, and through researching the ancestors, they might tell you, this might give you knowledge on. And of course the geography has changed, such as the water and all that sort of stuff, where the water is probably. But it might tell you like this method, and you can update it. You can update the methods for the diseases that they have, and just simply work that way. And And it can improve because those happen to be the two biggest issues Africa suffers from. You know, and once you can deal with those issues, all of the crapheads of the world, they don't have the justification to start wars and kill people like they usually do, because they realize, you know, there's no excuse, and it'll show them for the wicked people that they actually are. So that's my video. Hope you learned something. And thanks for watching. You know, later.